Hi everyone, welcome to episode 23 of the Yarn Flakes podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a podcast about knitting, weaving and other kind of fiber crafts. Welcome, I hope you all had a lovely week. I did. I am not sick anymore. If you've seen last week's episode, I was quite not present because of some sort of cold. And I guess you can still hear in my voice that it's just not completely gone, but I am feeling much more energetic and much more clear-headed, so to say, as much as possible. Yes, welcome. It is quite gloomy today, however I'm still getting a decent light, I think. I just hope that if the rain starts getting heavy again, you won't hear a constant noise, but not much I can do about it. It is always a bit awkward to start an episode when you have a very shiny, obvious finished object, because I kind of feel like, you know, throwing it in your face. First, I wanted to kind of map out the video for you. I never really do that, but I try to remind you that there are timestamps below, so you can jump into whatever section of the podcast you want. I usually have a knitting section, a weaving section when appropriate, cross stitch section, dyeing section. Basically, I break down the podcast into the different crafts that I am going to talk about. I also usually have a dream knitting section that I sometimes call what's hanging there to look pretty. So from now on, we're just gonna call that dream knitting. So it will be about pretty yarns or patterns, books of patterns that I want to share with you and say what I plan on making. I also introduced last week a new segment about books, reading books, proper literature things, and yeah, I feel like it's going to be one every other podcast that I talk about it. So you won't have it this week, but you will probably have it next week. You can find the links to everything that I talk about in the description below, as well as links to my social media and Etsy shop, which is currently filled with some hand-dyed yarns and weaving things. And I plan on having an update at the end of the month with some nice autumnal yarns. Should probably have planned that introduction better. I will next time. Anyway, it is now time to jump into knitting, and as you can probably tell, I have a finished object and I really like it. This is the Ola Yoke by Ella Gordon. It's a sweater that I have knit for Brooklyn Knitfolk, Jacqueline from the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast, Hips to Cal. The idea was to make a pattern that had less than 30 projects on Ravelry, and I say that every episode since I started knitting it. But anyway, yeah, when I heard about this knit along, this pattern that I had in my queue for a while only had, I think, 3 projects. I believe now it's it has 15 or 20. A few people have found it since then, and I'm really glad about it because I never understood why it only had so little projects, because it is a beautiful pattern. It's not the best written pattern, but it is easy to follow. This was my first yoke and I didn't have any issue. Yeah, it comes in various sizes, and it's easily adaptable, whether you should want to knit it in a different way. This was knit button up, so I first did this body and sleeves. If you remember, that took me a while. And then I did the yoke, and I did the yoke in one afternoon, I think. And yeah, once I finished the short, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do the short rows at the back, and poof, it was done. And I must say, I really enjoyed knitting the chart. I'm gonna come closer a little bit so you can see. So it has a gradient. I have one less color than what Ella had. She had one more yellow. So I kind of adjusted a little bit and did one extra row of white and one extra row of my only yellow to compensate. But I still feel that it works really well, and you still have that really nice striking line of bright orange. I really like how it's looking. So like I said, there are a few short rows at the back, and if I actually wear it correctly, you can see that it's not too low behind. So it's a really nice shape, it's comfortable to wear, and yeah, I'm happy with the size that I chose. I didn't want it to be with any positive ease, and I think I managed to do it. I might have a little bit here, or rather I think I have no ease when I'm actually standing. But yeah, sleeves are good. They're not too long, contrary to what I was fearing. The yarn that I used is Woolbutt Sockley, which is a German brand, and it was 75% wool, 25% nylon. It's not the softest in the world, but it's not next to skin for me still. It's not itchy or anything. I only have like a small tank top below, so my arms are bare and it touches my neck, and it's good. I don't need to wear something underneath, which would have been a little bit tricky at the arms. I feel that it worked rather well for the color work. It's not the toothiest thing. You can't really tell that the colors really, that rather than the stitches really melted into each other like some proper pure wool colorwork specific yarns do, but it still worked quite fine, and I have a nice definition without it being too slick and looking awkward. Yes, so I am very happy with it. I think it's gonna get lots of wear. It's only fingering weight, so it's nothing too warm. It's quite good now, even though, let me tell you, it looks like it's November here. Seriously, it's so cold and gloomy. We have, I'd say, around 15 degrees, if not way less, some days, and not used to that. I'm used to having a pretty nice autumn with like 20-25 degrees Celsius and quite sunny, and this is not happening. But yeah, it's a knitting friendly weather, so to say, and a sweater wearing friendly one. This has made me want to do so much yoke sweaters. I didn't find that many that I liked on Ravelry though. I think I need to specify my search into Scandinavian, search by ethnic, because I've been just looking for stranded colorwork, and yeah, I found gorgeous feral all over cardigans and things. That is beautiful, but not exactly what I want to venture into right now. So I found a couple that I plan on making, and I'm actually starting a Marius cardigan, and I will talk about that in a bit. But yeah, colorwork yoke, yes. My next knitting project are the socks that I'm knitting for my boyfriend, and they're almost done. They just need heels. I am doing Afterthoughts heels. So this yarn is again Woolbutt Arosa, and it's one of their patterning yarns in a really autumnal, a really autumnal color way. This is not pink, because my boyfriend, through Skype monitor, thought that this was pink. It's not, and I am the one with the colorblind genes, so really I don't understand. But fair enough. I need to put in the heels. I've put some markers where I approximately think they're going to be. I had drawn his foot in a 1 foot 2 feet, right? I had drawn his foot on a cardboard for the Fish Lips Kiss Heel directions, so I can measure out like this, and yeah, I can do my seconds afterthoughts heel, which I really like, so I hope I'm gonna enjoy it again. They're not much, because I started with the same color, but I like the beginning of the ball wasn't a full stripe. So the first one that I did had just a little bit of this color, and then I tried to start only at the half of the stripe, but I failed, so they're a bit off. But it's okay. It's like a couple centimeters off. They still have the main color on the leg. They're gonna be fine. I did a rounded toe. You know, it's the one where you decrease, knit 3 rounds, decrease, knit 2 rounds, decrease, knit 1 round, and then only decrease. And yes. Meanwhile, these are one of the first Christmas gifts that I made for this year. And I need to put in the heels. I have another sock in mind for my boyfriend, so I think I'm gonna start them this week, probably. We'll see. The next work in progress that I have is a simple hat. It's the 2x2 beanie by Ida Winstead. It's an A with a double point. Oh god, I don't know how you say in English. We say tréma in French, with the double point on top of it. Winstead? I don't know. It's a really nice hat pattern. It's just a 2x2 rib, so it's really stretchy. I'm knitting this in opal simple sock black yarn, and it's more enjoyable than what I feared, even though it's black yarn and it's just rib. It's nice. I think most of what that sentence isn't going anywhere. I think the reason why I am enjoying this is probably has to do with needles. I am using Addi's 40 centimeters cable needle in 3mm, and they're really slick and fast, and yeah, it just felt really pleasant using a cable needle that is just the perfect size for your project, and you just go round and round and round, and it's not small like socks, so it's not clenching your hands. So it's going rather fast. I'm about halfway. You have to knit 20 centimeters of the body before doing the crown decreases, and I think I have 11.5, and it's making a really squishy, supple. That's not a word, is it? Supple? Drapey, not really drapey, but you kind of guess what I mean. It's like it's really flexible fabric, so I definitely won't have an issue with size, and yeah, it's going to be quite big, which is nice. It's not a problem with rib because it's really versatile. That's why I chose it. I'm thinking this for someone whose size I'm not really sure of. And I just wanted something simple that would work in most cases, and this definitely will. My next work in progress is a really lovely one, and I am sorry that I don't have as much visible progress as I hoped, but this is the Peony Top by Verena Kors. So it's a linen summery top, and I am currently doing some decreases for the waist. So yeah, it's mostly stockinette, but I really like working with linen. It's a bit tricky because since I'm holding it double, and my needles, which are Addies, 2.5mm, they're not the pointiest, so I kinda, it's a tight gauge too, so I kinda, sometimes it's a bit difficult to get into the stitch. It's fine, it's working up faster than I thought it would, considering that I don't work on it that much, but the color is glorious. I just love the color. This is worked out of Lino Muka, which is 100% linen yarn from Woollen Berlin, which is a shop in Berlin. They have an online shop as well, and it's the grass green colorway. I am trying to make it a tad longer than what the pattern says. The pattern says that from the top to here, to the bottom, it's about 55 centimeters. Yeah, I would like it to not be cropped. And from the pictures of the finished objects that I've seen, it looks a bit short on the belly, which is cute, but I would like it to have it more like the model wears it in the pattern. Beautiful model. I think she's also a model in Woods, and yeah, she wears it. It goes over her hips comfortably enough. So I hope I'm going to be able to achieve that. If not, I know that linen will work. Hopefully it's way. It's making a really nice fabric, not too transparent. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna have a problem with that once it's blocked. And the lacy hem looks really nice. This is the back. You then do the front and seam them. And yes, I waited months for this pattern, and now the weather is so gloomy that I am loving it, but in my head it's not a priority. I still want to get it done rather soon, because I have other linen projects that I don't know if I'm going to do now or wait for spring. That would probably be a better idea. I now have a couple of new cast-ons to share with you, and the first one is the Tellin shawl by Melanie Berg, which is Queen of Shawls for me. And this is what I have. Look at it. It looks so beautiful on screen. I found that with lacy or colorwork projects, when you look at them like that, prior to blocking, it always looks a bit messy and you're unsure. But weirdly, when you look at them through a camera, it shows better the patterns, so, and how it's actually going to look once it's finished and blocked. So yes, that's quite pleasant. So it's a really easy shawl. You basically have a stockinette portion that you increase to your desired width, and then you have a lace design, which is a 12-row repeat, and I don't think I'm going to memorize it. I think I'm gonna have to keep looking at the chart, because yes, it's charted. And if you remember, I already said that I'm not a chart person. I would knit color work written. Like if you could tell me knit 2 white, 3 yellow, 2 blue, I would do that happily. But yeah, a lot of patterns are charted, and I completely understand that. It makes a lot more sense. So I need to get used to charts. But yeah, it's a 12-row repeat, and yeah, as you can kind of see, it's a really delicate open thing, and yeah, you can kind of see the texture here. So I really like working with it because I love the yarn, and the yarn is Drops Lace. So it's a silk and alpaca blend. It's really soft and delicate, and the color is beautiful. It's quite true with the light now. It's good. It's like an autumnal wine burgundy that's a bit heathered, and as you can see, you have spots where it's like a tweedy yellow, and it has purple in it and blues, and it's really knitting up beautifully. Am I showing you the wrong side? Yes. It's really pretty. It's going to make a super light and airy shawl, which is what I'm aiming for. Something that's much more about the look and not about being warm. I think I've reached the size that I want it to be. So now I have a straight portion, which will make the main body of the shawl, and then you will have decreases. Geometry in English. But yeah, the pattern, it's going to be a bit repetitive, to be honest, but it's quite soothing to do, because you just do, okay, you kind of have to do the 12-row repeat. So do a 12-row repeat, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna make another one. So I feel like it's going to go relatively fast, and the color is so beautiful that yeah, it's gonna be pleasant anyway. The edge is rolling. It's annoying, but normal, I guess. You have 4 rows where you're doing something. I've dropped a stitch in that border at some point, so at some point it's gonna look ugly. I think it's about here that I did a surgery. You're not gonna see it when it's blocked. And it's gonna stop rolling when I'll block it. But yeah, really drapey, light, beautiful color, simple pattern, but delicate. I have a sweater's quantity of Drops Lace in an icy blue colorway, and I wanted to do the April sweater, I think. So yes, it will be more of a spring light sweater, so definitely not in the mood for it right now, but the yarn is really beautiful. Silk and alpaca really works together. My last knitting work in progress is the Marius cardigan, and I am knitting this for well, I'm knitting it because I want it, and also because what kind of made me start it now is Ellie from Skandinit, from Skandinit's podcast, is hosting a cal for the Marius pattern. So if you're unaware, I'll pop in a picture here. The Marius pattern is a traditional Norwegian colorwork design, and yeah, there's about 10,000 sweaters and cardigans pattern design with that particular motif, and there's even dog sweaters, and Ellie has a pillow. Yeah, everything Marius. And my boyfriend's name is Marius. I don't know how that's relevant, but it's gonna I'm gonna knit him a Marius sweater because that makes sense at some point. But for now, I wanted to make myself the cardigan version. And I want to have it in a really comfy, loose, positive ease way. So yay! Body in stockinette and sleeves in stockinette and lots of positive ease, so it's going to be big and long. But I'm knitting the version that is in DK. Yeah, it's a DK, it's supposed to be a DK. I'm using a Heavy Sport. It's Woolbet Sock, so still that same German brand. It's still 75% wool, 25% nylon, which is not the best. Like you could use, it's supposed to use 100% wool, but affordable, lots of colors. I had it in my stash, so yeah. What was I saying? Yes, it's a Heavy Sport / DK, so hopefully it will knit up faster than this did. And if I'm honest, this didn't take that long. I was just a bit exaggerating. But yes, it's also my first time sticking, because you knit it in the round, obviously, because color work in the round is much easier, and then you cut to make the cardigan. And I've never done that. It recommends casting on 3 new stitches for the stick, but then it doesn't tell you what to do with them and the pattern and thing. But 3 stitches seems a bit small for my first stick. I'm not very confident. I'm definitely going to go overboard with the precautions with that. So I think I'm going to do 7 stick stitches. That's hard to say, stick stitches. 7, because you're supposed to do an uneven number. And I'm going to do 2 purls, so a column of purls. And then I'm going to have my 5 stick stitches. It says to secure the stick by putting it into a sewing machine, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to put it through the sewing machine, and then I'm going to make the crochet method because I am curious about it. I want to try it, even though people have been saying that it's quite long and not really necessary, but it's a decorative thing and it looks fun. So yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to have a stick with machine stitch and crochet method. I don't know how well that's going to work, but that's what I have in mind for now. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right now I am still doing the rib. I think I have a couple centimeters more. It's a 1 by 1 rib. And so the colors that I'm using this burgundy will be my, it's not as bright. It's really burgundy, it's not that in your face. Whoop. Woo. This burgundy will be my main color. And then obviously the yoke will be in white. This will be the main X's and O's of the Marius motif. And then a detail at the color will be in this hunter green. So yeah, I love that color combination. I like the traditional navy blue, white and wild cream and red, but I wanted something a little bit different. My boyfriend said he would like a navy blue, cream and red Marius, so when I'll be doing the one for him, I'll have the traditional colors of the Marius, but for me this is what it will be. And yeah, this has 130 meters to 50 grams, and I'm getting because I already knit with this yarn on the same size needles and everything. I'm getting 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, so that's about the gauge that's recommended in the pattern. So I feel I'm gonna be good. I'm knitting the size M because I want it to be comfortable, so I want enough positive ease. Size M has 103 centimeters, so it's not massive. I have a 87 bust, so yeah, it's like 16 inches, 16 centimeters of 16 inches. Oh, it's a boxy, right? The boxy has 16 inches of positive ease, whatever that means in centimeters. So yeah, 16 centimeters of positive ease. It's not massive. I feel it's going to be comfortable enough. Yeah. I can't wait to join, to make my 7 stitches stick and see how that goes. So yeah, the pattern, it's a Norwegian way of things, I guess. It's clear enough in the written part. It doesn't look too scary. However, when you look at the chart, like they're very nicely, you have the chart and things are written in Norwegian. And they didn't translate everything. Like, they took the time to translate, and I'm going to write it here. Begin here. They translated it like you couldn't guess what that means, even if you don't speak Norwegian. But there's something here. I don't know what that means, and it's not translated. Strikk til slutt. Strikk til slutt. Strikk til slutt. I'm just gonna Google it. I'm guessing it's nothing massively important, but it still bothers you, you know, you're looking at the pattern and you don't feel extra confident, and you have something written in Norwegian and you're like, what does that mean? But yes. Hopefully I will get it sorted out. I'm gonna be okay, I'm gonna be fine, even if Strikk til slutt is extremely important. I'm guessing, doesn't that just means that the pattern is repeating itself? Because it's outside of the repeat. I'm gonna ask Google. That's it for the knitting content of this episode. Yes, lots of things to do, and I'm going to refrain from casting on other big projects until I have some consistent progress done on those things. I am very happy to say that this week I have some weaving content. It's been a very long time, it's been a long time since I've made a simple wall hanging, and I kind of felt like playing around with an autumn color palette. So let me show you what I've done. This is what I have so far. I just found that those colors really worked together. I'm doing it on my Becca tapestry loom. Because I wanted something like a medium size, so this is about good. The yarns I'm using are all in lovely colors. This is a yarn. This is a wool from Brittany, you know, the northwest region of France. It's a yarn that's really rustic and traditional. It's made respecting a whole number of norms and rules in their process, and I got it undyed, and I dyed it myself this mustard tobacco color, and I must say I'm really proud of that color. And I wish I noted down how I did it. I know I mixed beige and tobacco dyes, but I'm afraid I will never get like fluff around my face. I'm afraid I'm not gonna get that color again. But it just is autumn to me. So I've warped the loom with that yarn, and I've made like a band at the beginning of just plain normal weave, and I've started decreasing in a diagonal with this. Oh, I didn't even say. It's called Les Toisons Bretonnes, which means Britannian. I don't know how you're supposed to say. It looks like Britain, but it's not. It's Brittany. Toison is how you'd call a wool coat on the sheep. So yeah, really rustic, really interesting texture yarn. Something I will not use for knitting. Personally, it's not scratchy. Maybe it's not neck proof. It would work for a sweater, I guess, but I just don't feel like knitting with it. Yeah, it feels very dry. However, weaving wise, it gives a lovely slight halo. The burgundy here is a fil d'art industrial yarn in a heavy bulky weight. I think it's mostly wool and nylon, and it has some acrylic probably, but the way it is plied makes it like a bit ropey like, and again plain weave. Continuing with the decreases, this is my never-ending single ply Peruvian wool cream thing. It's 100% wool, and I've done some patterning. So what I did is at first I went over 1 under 2 and tried to offset the things a little bit so you would see the warp strings going over, and it's not making a real pattern, but I feel like that play of colors was interesting. And on that big I wanted a little bit more puffy white spots, so I did the reverse. I did over 2 under 1, and same thing, I offsetted the pattern so it would cover everything nicely. And finally, I've used some hand-dyed yarns, just a tiny spot here because I just have scraps. Both are Wool and Boon yarns. The top one is Heartland and the bottom one is Dirty Chai. And yeah, these two looked really autumnal to me. It's just interesting how variegated and speckled hand-dyed yarns work when you weave them rather than knitting them. So yes, this is what I have so far. I'm really happy with how the colors are working together. As far as the shape goes, I'm a bit unsure. I'm going now here to put an olive wool roving. I'm going to put this green wool roving here. Not make so much of a bulky spot, but still bring some texture with it. And it's going to follow that diagonal line. However, after that, I'm not too sure what to do. I was planning on, since I'm going to have my band of roving here, I was planning on repeating that to the other side to have have my roving here and repeating that here to close the rectangle. But the more I think about it, the more I like the diagonal cut. So I'm thinking I'm gonna leave it shaped like this and maybe play with layers of different fringe. I don't know. I think it's going to sit until I figure out what I want to do with it. But yes, autumnal wall hanging. I have my bit of yarn here because I didn't hem stitch just yet. I also have been cross stitching a little bit. I'm just going to show you. It's the World in Stitches Folk Foxes pattern that I've been showing you for a very long time now. Yeah, this is where I am. I was making all the black in the pattern, so I did. All the black is here, and I just started filling up the second foxtail. And then there's gonna be splashes of color all around the place. But yeah, little by little. I've been considering starting another cross stitch project, but I don't think I need it. I think I'm satisfied with having just one and finishing it, waiting to finish it until I start a new one. So yeah. The last segment of this week's episode is here, and it's going to be dream knitting, and it's going to be about these two. These are yarns by Woolly Mama Yarns. Here's her card, and you can find her on Etsy and Instagram. I believe has Woolly Mama Yarns. Yes, Woolly Mama Yarns. And she has a nice colorful logo, and yes, so I've ordered 2 skeins and they're beautiful. I don't know. I don't know how much I can say that. I wasn't expecting, like in pictures they were gorgeous, but the yarn is extremely soft and there is so much depth in colors. This is 100% superwash merino, this one, and it has 400 meters to 100 grams, and the colorway is Poison Ivy. And I've been looking for a perfect variegated green, like dark forest green yarn, to knit the evergreen socks, which is like a really subtle Christmas socks with the lace panel on the top. And I mean, this is just perfect color. It looks blue. It looks very blue on the screen, but it's green. And yeah, you can see there are darker spots, and it's just really soft and plump, and it looks sturdy. I'm going to use it for socks. So I've already used a full merino for socks and I didn't have any problem, even with yarns that weren't as tightly, it's tightly plied as this one. It's so squishy. So yeah, Poison Ivy. And the second one I got, I mean, you know me, I say it a lot, there's no colors that I don't like, but teal, green and rust are my favorite colors, and this is just perfect. It's called Rustling, I want to say it properly, Rustling Leaves, and this is in her sock base, so it has a bit of nylon. It's 75-25, and it looks much lighter than it is in real life. I'm trying to get it. Yeah, but it just is really beautiful, rusty red, some pieces of burnt orange and yellow, and splashes of olivey greens, and it's really nice. It's really nice. And again, the base is lovely. She's a UK-based dyer, in case you're wondering. And she even gifted me a little stitch marker in shape of a completely blown out skein of yarn. So yeah, and this is just melting all together and it's really beautiful. I plan on doing, of course, Jacqueline Salins Clark socks with this. Everybody's knitting them, you know. I think it's going to look lovely with these. I could have a sweater in this. This is me wanting to look if she has a sweater quantity of these available. I shouldn't. But I would, because yes, that would be really beautiful as a sweater. Anyway, these are the plans, and with that, guys, I believe I am done, and this is it for this week's content. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I seem to have been a little bit more eloquent than last week, even though, you know, it's never brilliant with me and my constantly lowering English skill. But yes, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you a happy day, night and week, and I will see you next time. Bye!